Thank you for joining for today's session. Today we're going to go over a basic overview of how the Business Pointers ERP application works. And to get started, we're going to go over some basic navigation and architecture. So there are three key ways to go ahead and navigate through the system. The first way are these really big icons, which is great if you're using something that's mobile, whether that be a tablet or a phone. Second way are these bars at the top, and they're going to replicate on the side when you're further into the application. And the final way is search base, which is probably going to be the one that most of your users are going to use. So for example, I want to view my past paycheck history. So I start typing checks, and from there I can go ahead and choose the page I wish. Now there are four key parts to the architecture. The first part is the workbench. And what the workbench is going to do for you is it's going to pull all your alerts from the system onto one page. You'll be able to move your calendar information back and forth between Outlook and a few other email providers. So you'll always be able to see all your information. So the second part of our architecture is the admin section. This is a super user only section, so not everybody's going to have access to this. It's where we're going to do our basic setup for you. And from there, we're going to train your super users on how to use it. The third part of our architecture is our reports. Every module will come with a set of generic reports, but you'll also have access to our query designer, which is our drag and drop report builder. In order to use this, you're not going to need to know how to code, and it's a very simple and easy to use format. And the final part of our architecture is our dashboards. And these dashboards will give you a visual representation of what data you have in the system. It's fully configurable, so you'll be able to go ahead and change your layout, save views, make views for yourself, make views for your management. You'll be able to change your time ranges, and you'll also be able to change what type of chart you have with it. So this is the very basics on the navigation and architecture. Now there are several other key features that you will see along the way. First thing you need to know, though, about the application is we do sell it on an a la carte basis. So you do not have to take every module. You can just take the modules you're interested in. And our modules include human resources, CRM, transportation management, inventory, procurement, sales management, project systems, warehouse management, finance, collaboration, which will be your customer portal and your supplier portals and your vendor portals, and also production. Now, we do sell this as either an on-premise or a cloud application, so you will also have the option of choosing between the two. Now, when a user is first entering the application for the first time, they'll be able to set up their user details and set their user settings. As you can see here, they can make favorite pages. They can also subscribe to standard alerts or user-defined alerts, and there are multiple ways to receive these alerts. And they can also choose the frequency they wish to receive these alerts. So they can choose to receive by email, text, or an on-screen, which would be on your workbench. And then they'll also be able to create their own custom alerts. And these alerts can be alerts that are managed by exception, for example, setting a reorder value for inventory, or it can give you a pop-up or a message when a particular customer makes an order. That way you have full visibility into that. Now I'm going to go ahead and get started on the human resources side and work my way through. So the human resources side is really important if you are wanting to go ahead and keep track of time, or if you want to go ahead and do your recruitment, or manage your employees. And these employees can also then be assigned directly to sales orders or leads and accounts. So you'll have full ability to do your workforce management, adding your employees, doing your onboarding, doing any induction training. You'll have your self-services where your employees can go in, view their own details. They can update their W-2s. They can go ahead and sign out for their time cards. They can request time off. The managers will have access to everything that the employee does, but then they'll also be able to do all their approvals through there. And they can also go ahead and go in and do their job requisitions. On the recruitment side, You'll be able to view those requisitions. Those requisitions can be directly posted to your website or to a job portal. Then whenever an applicant applies, that information is pulled back into the system, and then you'll be able to actually go ahead and select those applicants and do your interviews with them, send them messages. For example, somebody you want to hire, so you can directly send them the job offer through the system, and then you can convert them back over to an employee when you are ready. You have full succession planning, so you'll be able to set up succession alerts. If you know somebody's going to be retiring, you can go ahead and start training somebody else to take over that position. You can go ahead and look into what criteria they need for that and then get them into training for those areas. You'll have full ability to do performance reviews. There's a lot of different ways you can do performance reviews. You can do 360 reviews. You can do peer reviews. You can do the normal manager-employee reviews. And then these can also work with a couple of the other tabs here in the Human Resources section. So, for example, somebody gets a poor score in one of their criteria, you can have them put into training in that criteria. Or if you give raises and it's the time of year that you're doing raises, you can go ahead and have them to get their raise or their promotion based on that performance review. You'll have full travel and expense management through here, so you can keep track of who's traveling and how much it's costing. You'll be able to view the attendance section, so you'll be able to do cumulative attendance. You'll be able to see if everybody really is working those 40 hours per week or if they're actually falling into a part-time position, even though they're currently being listed as a full-time position, so you can keep track of that. Full payroll processing. This can also be done in the finance side. It'll keep track of all your benefits, and then during open enrollment, the employees can go ahead and sign up for those benefits through the self-service. Full training module where you can define your own training content and deploy that training content out to your employees. The project HRMS is a smaller version of our project systems module. It'll allow you to do some basic configuration into what your project location is, what are the stages, phases, and tasks of these projects. So it's a way of breaking down that project into smaller pieces. And then you'll also be able to track who's working on that project. So from here, I'm going to go over to the CRM, and then I'm going to do the CRM all the way through the flow. So there are several ways to get CRM entries added. You can start with a calling list or a lead, and then that will directly convert over to your account. Your contacts are just going to be your list of people who are either in a lead or an account. In this section, you'll also have the ability to do mass mailing. So if you have any promotional emails you send out or any marketing emails, you can go ahead and mail them directly through the application. The account section can be either added by your sales employees, it can be imported into the system, or if you're using our e-commerce portal, the customer will be able to actually go ahead and sign up themselves through the e-commerce portal when they make their account to make their order, and that will show up directly here. You'll have full case management, so if there's any issues that arises, you can track them and then get visibility into what the cause was and when it is resolved. You can view all your opportunities in regards to your leads and your accounts, and you can also make your sales quotations. The sales quotation can then be converted over to an order. The sales quotation will show up in the sales module, as will any converted sales orders. If you do any promotions, you can keep track of your campaigns and your events and your ROIs on those, and any leads or accounts that come in based on those. You'll have full territory management, so you'll be able to go in and define what your territories are. You can have multiple ways of defining a territory. You can have some that's geographical. You can have some that's based on the item. And then you'll be able to assign those employees to those territories under the Salesforce section. You'll have full forecasting ability under your sales planning section. You won't have to go in and make the same sales forecast over and over again, defining all this criteria. You can set up templates where you can go ahead and choose your template whenever you're running that forecast. If you have any service requests that you work on, you can go ahead and define your service requests, keep track of what parts are coming in, who those parts are for, and then bill out to those customers based on those service requests. and then you'll also be able to sign those service requests directly over to your sales or tech employees. So once you went ahead and had that quote in the CRM side and you have your customer in there, you can go ahead and make your sales order on your sales side. So on the sales side, you're going to be able to keep track of a lot of information. You'll also be able to access your customer and vendor information. You'll also be able to set up any dropship vendors and define your credit limits and any dunning letters or routes for those customers. You'll have visibility into your product master. In order to make a sales order, you will need to have that product in your product master. But once you have it in there, you'll be able to directly pull it into that sales order or sales quote. You'll also have the ability to do forecasting from the sales side. And then you'll also be able to create inquiries, quotes, and sales orders through here. So the way the documentation flows is you make a document, and then it will directly convert over to the next step of that document. You will also get visibility into the document flow. So we do have a document map in here, so I'm just going to go ahead and open up a sales order real quick for you and show you that document map. And each time a new subsequent document has been created, you'll be able to go ahead and view the new document in there. So for this one, we've currently made just the sales order, and we started at the sales order level. It'll tell you who created it, and then you'll also be able to click on the details section for any of the documents through it, and you'll be able to actually open that document. Once your sales order is created, it can go ahead and be converted over to a delivery or an invoice, and you can do a partial delivery or a partial invoice. We also have the ability to add in barcodes for any of your documentation, especially if you have a section of your warehouse where they need to do their pick and pack and they just want to scan the sales order or their pick and pack list and then directly have that pop up and open for them. So once you have it as a sales order, it can either be converted over to your delivery or to your invoice. On your delivery side, you'll be able to go ahead and set up how you want it delivered or shipped. We do have APIs with UPS, FedEx, and USPS, so you'll be able to directly generate your shipping labels through the system. You'll be able to view your tracking information through the system. If you have any ACNs or any bill of ladings or any other documentation, that is also available through the system. We do have our own EDI, so you can receive these shipments through the EDI, and I will show you later in the demonstration the EDI formats, but we do have over 300 of them in the system. And once you've done your delivery, you can go ahead and do your goods issue with that delivery, and you can convert that over to an invoice. That invoice is going to show up on the finance side automatically, and it's automatically going to create your journal entry for you. Now, if you are a production company or a manufacturing company, then you are going to take that sales order and you are either going to fill it from your current inventory or you're going to do a production order for it. So you'll be able to go ahead and do an interactive planning based on your sales orders. So it'll give you your list of sales orders, and then you'll be able to choose which ones you want to do your material resource planning for, or you can do your overall material resource planning where you can choose your criteria for it in the MRP wizard. And from there, if you have the items in inventory, you can directly take them from inventory. But if you're missing any items, you'll directly make your purchase order. You'll also have already set up some information in the admin section, so you'll already have set up where those work centers are, what processes there are. You'll have your bill of materials there. You'll be able to set up your routings there. And that way you know whenever you're creating this item, what machines it's going through, how long it's supposed to take, what's the average scrap you're supposed to get from it, and what items and materials is needed for it. So once all your materials are in, you'll be able to make your production order. And from there, you'll be able to do the actual scheduling of the order. So you'll be able to assign that production order to one of your employees. You'll be able to assign what machines you're using, and you'll be able to do your capacity planning from there. You'll also have Gantt through your planning board, which will give you your overall view of what projects are going on and what their status are. You can also view who's working on those and what machines they're using. You have full ability to quality control, whether you have one person who's in charge of it or everybody's joining in and doing a little bit of it for you. So there are several different formats you can set that up there. And then once you have your item complete and it's passed your quality check, then you can go ahead and do your receipt from production, which will put it into your inventory until you are ready to ship it out. So I'm going to go over to the inventory side real quick. So the inventory side will give you access to your customer and vendor master. Your vendor master will keep track of your details on your vendors. This is going to include information such as their billing information, who your contact person is with them, and details on what products that they offer. You'll also be able to set up items in your item master. So your item master is going to connect you a little bit to a lot of the other modules. So it's going to let you decide if this is an item that you want to make a sales order for, if this is an item that you want as a purchasing item. It'll also let you define information of how you want it to hit your finance. So let's say you want it to hit it at an inventory level. So you do it at the item level, or you do it at the item group level, or you do it at the warehouse level. It'll let you also map any tax information to it if this is an item you're making or buying. Is it a raw material? Is it a finished item? Is it a leased item? Or even if it's a fixed asset. So the machines that you use or the building that you use can be directly marked as a fixed asset in the inventory section, and then it'll show up in the finance where you can do your depreciation for it. You have full ability to look into what stocks you have and what your opening balances are for them, and you'll be able to view what's available, what's been committed to sales order or production order, and what's on the ordered list so you know what you're about to be receiving. You have full ability to do your item issues and item receipts from this module. You can go ahead and whenever you're making those item issues and item receipts, you can either directly add a batch or lot number and a serial number if that is relevant to this product. And then on the item issue side, you'll be able to directly pull from that batch or lot or from that serial number whenever you're issuing it for a delivery. You have the ability to do an item transfer. This can be between your warehouses, or it can even be between your bin locations in a warehouse. You'll have your ability to do your price changes and view your price histories and do your inventory credits and debits, and also define your price lists in the system. You can define multiple price lists, and then those price lists can be directly assigned to customers in the customer master. So you'll be able to say, okay, I want customer A to be on my bulk discount price list, and then every time a sales order is created for that customer, their pricing will automatically come from that price list. You have full ability to do your pick and pack. You'll have your pick and pack manager. That'll be based on your sales orders, and you'll be able to view your pick list. You'll also be able to find some basic information about your inventory, what are your warehouses, which items go in which warehouse, where are they located in that warehouse, what types of inventory you have, and which ones are in each warehouse. We also have the warehouse section, and the warehouse section is going to allow you to define those storage locations and assign those storage locations. It'll also let you view your customer and vendor information. You'll have access to your product master. You'll be able to do your inventory valuation and do your warehouse transactions in that pick and pack again. Now, in order for your item to come in, you need to have made a purchase order for it. And then you're going to have to do a goods receipt for it. So that's over on the procurement side. So the procurement side is going to allow you to view your vendor information. You'll be able to set up which ones are your dropship vendors. You'll be able to view your item information and also what your availability for those items are. That way you can directly make your purchase requisition, purchase quotation, or purchase order. You can start at any level, and then it will directly convert over to the next level of the system. And then once that item is in, you can then do a goods receipt. You can do a goods receipt against multiple vendors. You can do against multiple POs of the same vendor. And you'll also be able to do a partial goods receipt. So you may not receive all those items in the same shipment. And that will automatically go ahead and update your inventory for you. And while you're doing your goods receipt, you'll be able to add in either those serial numbers or your batch or lot numbers. You can set up your recurring transactions. So if you have a purchase order that occurs once a month or once every 6 months, you can have those automatically occurring for you. You'll have the ability to do your material resource planning from this side and any bulk processing you need. Now, whenever you're doing your shipments, you can use our APIs with UPS, FedEx, or USPS, but if you're using any third-party logistics or you have your own trucks, you can go ahead and use our transportation module for those. And from there, you can set up your route information, define your truck statistics, how much weight the truck can hold, what the volume is of the truck. And then from there, you can go ahead and set up your routes. So you can define a specific route for each customer or vendor. And then you can set up variants for those and actually schedule those. You can also do your route planning through here. You can do any of your tendering. You'll be able to view your inbound and outbound shipments. You'll be able to view your documentations for them and directly generate those documentations. We also have the finance module, so once you've made those invoices, they're automatically going to show up in the finance section, whether they be an accounts receivable invoice from a sales order or a production order, or a payable invoice from a purchase order. We'll do the basic setup into your chart of accounts and your general ledger. We'll take care of your journal entry setup, take care of your freight setup and your payment terms. All of those can be defined under the admin section. Now your finance people will be able to view the customer, vendor, and employee information. Now I will say this, that any section that you do not want someone to have access to, we do have the ability under user authorization to limit access, because especially on the finance side, you're not going to want everybody to have access to every page. So we have the ability to make user access to a read-only. We have the ability to completely deny access to pages or even to fields. On the same way, if, for example, you need any approvals added in, we have full ability to add in approval strings. For example, before a lead can be converted over to an account, you may want that to be going through finance first to do a credit check. So we can set in an approval string there for finance to do the credit check and go ahead and approve of that before it will go ahead and convert over for you. You'll have full ability to import your bank statements and your credit card statements, and then you'll be able to directly match those with the transactions you have in the application. You'll be able to view and make all of your journal entries and journal vouchers. The majority of these will be automatically created when you're making your invoices. However, you will have the ability to go in and make one yourself if the need arises. You'll be able to view the breakdown of what transactions you have, whether they're accounts payables or accounts receivables, and which of those have been reconciled. You'll be able to view those account receivable invoices and then directly receive payment against them through the system. On the payable side, you'll be able to directly make your payments through the system, whether that be electronically through credit card, through bank transfers, or you can even do printing of checks through this application. As I mentioned previously, you do have the fixed asset section where you'll be able to go in and set up your depreciation methods for each of your fixed assets. You can either add the fixed asset to the list here or add it through the inventory module. And then this will show up when you do your balance sheet and your profit and loss sheet. You'll also be able to view your price changes and do your inventory credits and debits. And you'll have a full budgeting section where you'll be able to set up your budgets. Budgets can be as detailed as one budget for each of your material items to one overall budget for your whole company. You'll be able to do your payroll processing through here and do any reimbursements that may be required. We also have the Project Systems module, which I haven't covered yet. So this is going to be a larger version of the project section in the HRMS section. This will give you a little more details into it. You'll be able to directly set up that project master again and do your phases, stages, and task breakdown of that project. But you'll also be able to add activities to it and set up the actual hierarchy for it. So you'll be able to say, I have this phase that's made up of this stage, and this stage is made up of these tasks. And then those tasks can be directly assigned to your employees. And those employees will be able to view their own task and to be able to sign off on the task log. You'll also have access to a project calendar, and then the project detailed section is going to give you a bit more information about it. You can set up your payment schedules, you can assign who your customer is, who's the person in charge of this, which materials is going for it, and each of those stages and tasks can have a new person or multiple materials for them. You'll be able to do your time management against these projects. People who are working on these projects will be able to go in and do their time sheets. Their managers can go in and approve them. You'll be able to view your project timelines. You'll also be able to allocate your resources to them and track them, and these can be either your employees or your materials being used for this. You'll be able to go ahead and do your risk management. You'll be able to log any issues that you run across, and then assign those to someone to look into them and fix those issues. You'll be able to do full task delegation because if somebody's out sick, somebody still needs to cover that project. You'll also have reports on variances in your time for your schedule for this project and for your budget for it. And you'll also be able to directly link documents with this project. You'll have full communication management here through a forum for each project where you can have the people go in and post messages about it, but you'll also be able to set up mailing groups where you can send out information and updates about the project to the people involved. You'll be able to view all your project financials. You'll also be able to invoice directly against the project and view what your resources are costing you and set up your budgets for this project. So this concludes our quick overview of our application today. Thank you for joining.